is that we picked up a really good Xavier McKinney from the New York Giants via Alabama product. So we got 2 Alabama products in. And so when I say he's an Alabama product, Brian Branch that we went in depth last year and got picked up by the Lions and had a great start to his career. Xavier McKinney was playing the star position at Alabama, I think, before Brian Branch. So when you watch the Giants, they're putting him in that position as well. This guy can, well, first of all, let's start with maybe the most important thing. Captain, right? Leader. In that room, losing Rasul Douglas, young guys, interesting, unique personality in Alexander. You need to have that. He's young, but just like Minkah Fitzpatrick was young coming out of Alabama, just like Brian, these young Alabama guys in the DB position, they got it. Like they got it already. They got it right now. Whoever's coaching them through Saban, the whole thing, they walk in ready to go. You watch this guy's film. He's prepared. He is a great communicator, and he's fast with the football, right? So you start going, I really, really like this move. I don't know if I like it as there's always guys you have favorites and whatnot, but this guy is a really, really good football player. I put some tape together. I'm going to give you just my quick scouting report on him. So last year, 116 total tackles, 78 solo, half a sack, 1 forced fumble, 92nd in the league. 11 passes defended, good for 28th in the league. 3 interceptions, good for 25th in the league. And he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, or like 201 they have him listed at. Not a big guy, not a thumper. He has range. Giants played him like I said, like an Alabama star position a little bit, as well as deep safety. He can play at all 3 levels, loves to come in the box. For me, not great behind the line of scrimmage, but for me, it's coaching. It's with the Giants. It's how the Giants are coaching him, much more so than his instincts or athletic ability. This guy has instincts, okay? He's not as physical maybe as the kid last year that got drafted, Brian Branch, for trying to compare apples to apples as far as what positions they played in college, same place. Big thing. He's ticking boxes, man. First of all, both guys you bring in, captains on their jersey. Big deal. Postseason honors. All pro 2 years ago for Jacobs, right? Postseason honors for McKinney this year. Big deal. I think for McKinney, coaching and the scheme of Hafley, and we don't know exactly what that looks like now, but you just start saying single safety pressure, okay? This guy's kind of already had an opportunity, being young in the league, of doing all these things, can unlock what I think is a really, really high ceiling, already playing at a high level. He's a very, very instinctive player. Let me show you a couple of clips. And again, I'm not cherry picking here. What I'm doing is I'm putting a tape on from last season, run a couple plays through, show you what I see, how I see it. Is what it is. Some of this is good, some of it's not good. All right. So 29, he's on the right side of your screen, and we're talking about coming off the edge. And this is just a coaching fix, right? Because he should be making this play. He can chase this down very easily. So you got 2 problems here as far as he's starting at depth instead of getting to the line of scrimmage. 1, 2, the defensive end doesn't do a good job of crossing face on Zach. But you see that there's a little bit more of an angle, but just the speed, the range. He looks like he's not big, but he's certainly not frail. He's not small, right? He looks like a well-built guy. Deep player, 20 yards off the line of scrimmage here, has the vision. And you just see he's got to take it over the top, redirect, break down and try to make a play. Again, when you watch safeties, it's hard because, the guy has 78 solo tackles, right, over the course of 16 games or 17 games. This guy's got 1 sack. He's got 11 passes defended. He's got 3 picks. So it's like you really have to go try to make a highlight tape if you want to just show highlights. But what I care about, what the scouts care about, how does he get out of transitions? How's his instincts for the football, right? Is he going towards the contact or away from the contact? What happens in space when he breaks down? Is his feet wide? Can he make tackles when he has to? These are the things that are maybe a little bit more important than showing a couple passes defended or a couple picks, because all of it leads to those big plays. And the other thing is, too, these days, with all the things you can and can't do on offense and defense from a passing standpoint, it's like the Dallas Cowboys 2 years in a row. They got guys that, cornerbacks that are going to be up for Defensive Player of the Year. Then, like last year with Bland, DK Metcalf shows up and goes, no, he can't play man coverage against good players, right? And 2 years ago or 3 years ago with Diggs, before he kind of figured it out, he's jumping every route. They do double moves. He's a feast famine guy. So you want to see just instinctively how these guys are playing. You want to see how they move. You want to see how they use their hands into contact, etc. Like, that's what really is going to give you a good picture of, is this guy interesting enough to us to continue to do further work? Certainly, I think Xavier McKinney shows those traits. So we see he's coming down here in the box. You see the way that the Giants run some of this stuff. You want that backer to sneak over. They do here. You want to come down and try to make a play, just get involved. And these are the kind of things we want to talk about here. You got to tackle with a base. So you're breaking down with Patrick Taylor. Hey, go ahead, get your hands inside your frame, break down, don't get your feet wide. Go ahead and make this play. This is kind of the big one for me right here. You want to be able to dominate. Malik Heath dominates him on this play, right? So Malik Heath has to stop penetration in the B gap. He stops the penetration. He ends up turning him out, gets him frustrated. They start doing some little John and push yapping. But if you're talking about Xavier McKinney now, this is where at 6'1", 6 foot, 200 pounds, you go, all right, is this the right position to play him? He's been capable of playing this with the New York Giants. He's gotten postseason accolades. But how do we use him so he's the most effective? So far, when we look on kind of behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage plays, he's not exactly ideal from an angle standpoint. And here you're just going to see from a physical violence standpoint, man, you got to be able to get through and push this guy back into the hole. He's not really able to do that. Ends up getting driven back. This is a good play by Malik Heath, but when you're making big signings, this is something you go, hey, listen, you got to turn this guy and be able to get in on this tackle, really close this down a little bit better. And it looks like I'm missing one thing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. No. Nope. Well, I think you get the point. The point is, we got a guy with range. We got a guy that can play at all three levels. We have a leader. We have a guy that's played at a high level. He was there with Martindale and the Giants, I think, when things were going good, right? When Dayball, the honeymoon was still going. They had some success. Made the postseason 2 years ago. He's been a staple in their defense. Most importantly, you're getting a competent player who can communicate on the back end. I think that might be the most important thing you needed. A really high value guy that can communicate Hafley's scheme, system, calls, checks to the rest of the team. He is all over the screen doing that. Can tackle in space, has great range. You can play him deep post safety. You see he can come up and make plays. There's a couple plays that you'd like him to be a little bit sounder tackler. And there's also a couple plays where you go, okay, are we utilizing him in the best way possible? There was also a couple plays on there where ends up rushing against like Zach Tom. It's like, why even show you guys? He's not going to beat Zach Tom. But they do bring him pressure off the edge. And again, he not only plays, one of the two deep safeties, he'll play the third guy at that star position. So he'll play like a slot. They'll bring him down and play on the tight end. They feel comfortable with that. I think that's an interesting quandary just because he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, but you just have to see how he's going to be used. This is a great pickup. This is something the Packers desperately needed. And I just can't, you have to be excited that listen, there's certain places where you bring in a guy and you go, I think we're going to be good here. When you bring in an Alabama DB, at least in my experience, they seem to have their stuff together, man. They seem to be just pretty good players. And an Alabama running back, Alabama defensive back, that's pedigree, man. You need to bring in those type of guys. I do not minimize how important it was, I think, for Goody and for Coach LaFleur that both those guys wear C's on their chest. I think that's a big deal.